Weetree saying, when are you moving to the USA? Blooming heck. I started traveling to the US when I was 17, and I traveled probably. I'm 40. I'm 42 now. Tell that story. Yeah, $6 to $8 a gallon. Yeah, totally. Like, yeah, from 17 onwards, I was probably traveling about six or seven times a year, and so I've been back and forth to America a lot up until about 4 or 5 years ago. And I would, like I say, that 3 or 6 month window to live in America in different places. I would love to go sort of Wyoming way, and maybe a better time in Portland. And I liked Austin, but there's places around Austin. You know, I like Boston as well, actually, because of the climate there is good for me. I don't know. The America thing is a problem because I say it's a problem. I have an 8-year-old with my previous partner here in the UK, and I would struggle to be away from my daughter for more than sort of 10 days at a time. So that's the main reason. But I have traveled quite a lot back and forth to America. I was actually in New York in December, for a project. And I love New York, and I love America. You know, I love a lot of the cities in America, but I also like being in the countryside away from it all. You know, the thing with me is I like to go into cities, but I effectively want to get out very quickly. You know, after maybe a month tops in a place, and then I'm gone. It's like wanderlust. I can't help myself. I want to move somewhere else. I want to see something else. And I think for me as a video blogger and somebody who likes photography and video and that creative side of making, it kind of, the journey between places is the thing that energizes me. It's the thing that keeps me kind of going creatively. Whereas I think if you're stuck or settled in one place, well, you might as well have a house, you know? John, you're going to have to
tell me about your incredibly awkward trip to the very first place you came to the U.S.
Oh, Oklahoma.
I love that story.
Jesus Christ, that was weird. So I've been talking to just hands up in the chat, or like put a number 1 if you ever used IRC, Internet Relay Chat, and number 2 if you've never heard of it. Okay, we're getting some ones. Cool. So when I was 17, I got onto IRC, and I had to change my nickname from Danger Mouse to D Mouse. It was one of the very first IRCs where you couldn't have more than 8 characters as your username. For people who've never heard of Internet Relay Chat, do a search for IRC Internet Relay Chat. You'll see it. And yeah, it's a place where you chatted online. You had a browser, you had FTP, and you had Internet Relay Chat. And I was on this group chatting to some people, and got chatting to this girl. And I'm very young, and so like I instantly thought I was in love with this girl because I've been talking to her all day long, every day, running back from work to talk to this girl, and traveled over to into Oklahoma. Very first part of America that I've ever visited. I didn't want to see San Francisco or New York. I didn't want to see all the gloss factor. I just wanted to go and see the original, or the kind of authentic America. I didn't realize that Oklahoma would be so bland and basic and not much there, but that's by the by. You know, when you're 17, back in those days, like just traveling there was like the other side of the world. And yeah, I went to meet this girl, and we hadn't really discussed anything in terms of like her having a partner or anything like that. So I turn up at the airport, I get out of the airport, and everything's huge, all these big F-150 cars, vans and everything everywhere. I'm like, Jesus Christ, everything's massive. Go back to her house, and I'm sitting on the sofa, and this guy comes around and is like, hey, how you doing? And I'm like, obviously I've got a British accent, and he's kind of like freaked out a little bit, like, you know, who's this guy? Where's he come from? And, oh yeah, it's just somebody I know online. And I had no idea whatsoever that this was a partner, that was a boyfriend. So it was a very awkward 10 days. Let's just put it that way. But that was the first time I went to America. The good side, the upside of that, was that because I did have a British accent, everybody down at the marble lab, where they kind of like put ice cream together on a big marble slab, like cold slab, and you can put jelly babies and all that kind of different stuff in it. I got free tickets to have ice creams for like 7 days. So I was effectively outside of the ice cream shop for 7 days getting free ice cream. So there was some upside. That was it, Cold Stone Creamery. That's exactly what it was called. And yeah, I kind of survived sitting outside this creamery in Oklahoma, just outside of Oklahoma City, actually. I think I traveled from there down to Norman. But then it was kind of years and years after that, I kind of got the bug, you know, the freedom that you have in terms of traveling between places. I don't mean like liberties and freedoms of expression, but like the freedom that you have on the road when you're traveling between different places and the space, and that kind of sense of wanderlust that really stuck with me about America. And I couldn't sort of let up on it. So I kept traveling up to probably about 5 years ago. Do you want to answer any of these questions, or are you going to sort of direct these, John?
Yeah. Marsha Brockman asks, which is more popular in the UK, motorhomes or caravans, pull behinds? What we would call a travel.
I wouldn't know, but I would say in the last couple of years of being at different sites, I would say the majority of thing I've seen is motorhomes. But I would say one of the things that I'm seeing even more is I'm starting to see a lot more people buy like stealth campers. So like Volkswagen T5s and just getaway vehicles for the weekend. And I think that's just a lot of people just getting away to different campsites around the country and just changing up their spaces. So that's what I've seen a lot more of in the last couple of years in the UK.
That's something that I saw recently. I've got a picture on Instagram of somebody there. They were European, I think Finland, but
okay.
They bought and completely refinished the inside Volkswagen T6.
Right.
You know, Cummins diesel power. For the US audience, imagine the Volkswagen Vanagon. Imagine if the Volkswagen Vanagon that we got here that was so crappy and underpowered that Road and Track tested the 0 to 60 time of the Volkswagen Vanagon diesel Westphalia camper. It had a 0 to 60 time of 67 seconds. It was made it to 60 though.
It's not wide enough.
They ever tested. So imagine one of those if the Volkswagen Vanagon came in like the Ford trucks, the F-150, the F-250, the F-350. Imagine if you could get a Volkswagen Vanagon in an F-350 version. Sits up high, big tires, four-wheel drive, Cummins diesel power, go anywhere, do anything, and we can't get them here. So sad.
That's weird. I guess, yeah, on the flip side of that, the things that we can't get is that I sort of grew up in the 80s watching kind of geeky, nerdy films where you had like these awesomely epic, like massive Winnebagos, you know, like, and even though they were terrible to probably drive, just the sheer size of them, you know, was like, oh my God, it'd be amazing to kind of do a road trip in that. I think there's a lot of sentiment. I think a lot of people have like I have certain sentimental things about having a big kind of like truck like that to go across somewhere, you know, like I would love to do it in Europe. I think the next things that you're going to see probably in the next 5 or 10 years is, especially if you look at places like Estonia. I don't know if people have looked into this because obviously it's Europe based rather than the US, but Estonia has got this massive electric charging grid network for electric vehicles. And I think there's a bunch of companies, Nissan, for a start, they're starting to roll out electric versions of vehicles, and you know, we're starting to see more companies are doing delivery services or offering jobs to be able to do delivery services. And I think digital nomads, it's a perfect fit, really, if you're going between different places or you're stuck in a different place for a while, to be able to run around and kind of have an electric van, especially if you know you've got so many points all over to be able to charge. It's one of the big things here in the UK is that our main motorway, which is the M1, which goes quite far up and down the country, that's got electric power charging probably every 30, 40 miles. And it's all kind of free at the moment. I think that's going to change the way that people move about. Quite a lot of people
asks, why do you think no British travelers film the wonderful gardens you can visit? Not to mention the famous landscapers.
I don't know if that's true or not. I presume you've had a look on YouTube. Like I said, the biggest problem I think with, you know, take Eric for instance, Nomadic Fanatic. I don't think we have a British version of Eric in terms of somebody who's actively moving, driving different places like every day or every week in the UK. Might be to do with costs of the fuel. It might be to do with the fact of like logistics of actually going into different campgrounds and stuff. I think it'd be good because there is a lot of places in the UK that need to be covered and documented. I think that will come naturally. I think more companies who start to use social media and realize that it's not going away. The only way that people are going to be able to get people to stay at their bed and breakfast place or their campsite is by using these tools to be able to promote their stuff, either be it Airbnb or whatever. So they're going to have to work with brand advocates. People like Eric, I see, is a brand advocate. He goes to a place, he films a video. People do a search for that place, looking for a route or somewhere to go on holiday or a vacational break. And they see the video, or somebody sees the video and goes, yeah, it looks nice. And they go there. So he's kind of helping tourism. So it's something that will have to happen at some point. But if anybody wants to sponsor me to do that around the UK, I don't mind doing it for them, but I'll have to do it in my smart car for the time being. I haven't really got a RV like Nomad wagon yet, but that is in the works. It is in the works.